Hey again, Rochester. This is Tara Friedt with Dwell Realty Group, and I'm here with Andy from Priority Construction today, just to talk about a topic that I've become very aware of in the last year or so. It seems that most people really don't understand what their coverage is and how to go about filing a claim and what things to look out for. So I just wanted to give you a little insight and a little bit of information to navigate that situation. So Andy, working for Priority Construction, who specializes in storm repair, what are some of the more common things you run into when you're talking to a homeowner who's had a severe event on their home?
A lot of times when we are first introduced to a homeowner, they really don't even understand their coverage they have. They don't know whether they have an ACV policy, an RCV policy, whether they have a matching endorsement. Sometimes they don't even understand the words that we're using. And so we actually have to take time initially to kind of explain to them different types of policies, and then even ask them, hey, why don't you go ahead and call your insurance company, ask them some of these questions and get back to us so we actually know what they are or aren't covered for.
Well, that brings up a good point. What is an ACV policy, an RCV policy, and a matching endorsement?
The word ACV means actual cash value. An RCV policy means replacement cost value, and then a matching endorsement has to do with the product that's on the house, whether we can or can't find it. A lot of older homes or older roofs or older siding ends up turning into an ACV policy after 15, 20 years. The actual cash value, how an insurance company determines that is they have an adjuster come out to your house. He looks at your roof or siding, finds out when it was initially installed, and then what he does is he takes that date and then he depreciates it however many years it is, and then figures the actual cash value at that point. So say for example, today your roof is worth $10,000, but it's 20 plus years old, so he's going to depreciate that 50%. And so now your actual cash value of your roof, the money that you're going to receive from your insurance company, is only $5,000. Now, if you turn that ACV policy into an RCV policy, the recoverable depreciation, now that $5,000 that you weren't going to get is recovered, goes back to you when the job is finished by a licensed contractor.
Okay, so you mentioned an ITEL report. Is that kind of a professional assessment that is recognized by all states and insurance companies to deem whether a product has been discontinued?
Yeah, ITEL is a third-party company that they specialize in letting contractors and insurance companies know whether a product is or isn't discontinued, especially when it comes to shingles or siding. Sometimes an insurance company will pull their own sample or even have us pull the sample, and they'll send it to a different company just because that's one that they're working with. But typically us as contractors, we send ours into ITEL, and what that does is it helps us know whether something is or isn't discontinued versus just waiting for the insurance company to get back to us. So some of the other insurance companies, they might not even pull one and they'll wait for us to do it. So yes.
So from our previous conversations, it sounds like insurance companies will sometimes try to get a homeowner to get an estimate or a bid for work with some specific figures prior to getting the process really started. And it sounds like that isn't the best practice because it can sometimes prevent a repair from being put in as good or better condition. And can you explain that a little bit?
Sometimes insurance companies will, before they even come out to a customer's house, will say, well, could you get a couple estimates from some contractors to repair the damage? Part of the reason we think as contractors they do that is because they're trying to get the lowest estimate, almost like a retail estimate. They want to have a contractor come out or three contractors, they'll accept the lowest bid, and then that's what they'll do the repair work for. The reason why that's not good to do is because what we should do is be meeting the adjuster on site, a licensed contractor and an adjuster on site, looking at the damage together, and then the insurance company should come out with their estimate first. Reason being is then we can see what they see as damage, and if they're missing anything, we can then supplement it at that point.
I think that sounds like really interesting information that a lot of homeowners wouldn't even understand. If the adjuster is there by themselves and they just hop up on the roof, there may be a lot of things that are left out that would be really important. All right, so a homeowner just had a storm roll through their neighborhood and they really have no idea how to start a claim, but they have some damage to their house. Can you just walk us through maybe what first best steps would be to get that started?
Excellent. So the best thing to do would be to take pictures before you do anything. You don't want to patch anything, you don't want to cover anything, you do not want to touch it. What you want to do is take pictures first, and then I would say call a licensed contractor. Have them come out and assess it as soon as possible. Now, if there's water pouring into your home, you want to go ahead and tarp that. So from beginning to end, what you want to do, you initially want to call your insurance company and start the claims process. At that point, they'll ask you some questions, and then what they'll do is give you a claim number. After you have the claim number, they'll let you know that an adjuster is going to call you within 7 to 10 days. The adjuster is the guy who works for the insurance company who's going to come out and take a look at your home and actually assess the damage. When you know the time and date that the adjuster is going to be there, make sure that your contractor is going to be out there at the same time to meet him there.
So they should be calling you saying, hey, this is when my adjuster is going to be here. Are you able to come and meet at that time?
Yeah, exactly, because what it does is it gives us an introduction to the adjuster and them to us as well. They know that you're now working with a licensed contractor, and what it does is it actually helps speed up the claims process to get your roof or siding or whatever it might be repaired sooner. So after we meet there on site, the adjuster will take his pictures, he'll take them back to his office, and then what he'll do is he'll create his insurance estimate. So once he's done with that, you'll receive a copy of that estimate, and then make sure you give that to your contractor.
So as we can tell, this is a really complex issue. So is there a couple of things that you think would be helpful information to kind of add and give a little bit more background on what we've been talking about?
First of all, take a look at your insurance policy. If you don't understand it, call your agent. Don't feel bad if you're barraging them with questions. If they don't know the answer to a question, ask them if they can find out for you. Really what you want is you want to be able to understand your insurance policy. I would say as a contractor who deals with storm damage a lot, you want to make sure that you have a full recoverable depreciation policy. You want to make sure you have a fixed deductible, which is typically like $1,000 to $1,500. I've seen some people that have a deductible that's a percentage of their home. So say for example, your home's worth $400,000. Your 2% deductible is now an $8,000 deductible. That's a lot versus just having the $1,000 to $1,500 fixed deductible. Again, you want to make sure that you do have that matching endorsement. If your insurance company does not offer it, find one that does, especially if you have an older home, because the likelihood of your siding or roofing be discontinued is much greater than on a brand new home or a home that's even 5 to 10 years old.
Well, thanks Andy for being here. I think that's a lot of, kind of heavy information, but if someone finds themselves in a situation where they do have damage on their home, they really need some resources and need just an idea of where to start. So we really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.